was your mother like?
Well, she had to be pretty good to raise 13 young. Poor thing, I did get to go much.
Always stayed around the house?
Stay around the house and have them.
What did your mom look like?
She kind of heavy set, you know.
Long hair or what?
Yeah, long hair. And they did have me short hair and had long hair and then bald it up and bald.
Your daddy, what was he like?
If he had a bottle in his hand, he'd be all right. He drank, he never seen us kids unless he accidentally see it from one of us. Because he'd come home drunk and we'd hide out. We'd leave the house. And when he called for one of us, boy, you throw my skating and see you later. And then we forget one time. Of course, I did tell a story. I told a story that time. He said, who's that? He come over in the field where we were. And he said, who's that I heard cussing over there? Of course, I said, well, it was me. I was in it, just to say. You know what they do? They tease me about some old ugly boy. And I'd just take it till I couldn't take it no longer. And then I'd lie to you. Me and Lizzie, we'd get in fights. They'd make her sing songs about feeding me. And then even sing when I'd get married, when I was going to get married, what kind of little house I was going to live in. Oh, boy. And this old boy they'd sing about, he was ugly. Guess he could be freckle-faced and red-headed. One time it was Easter time. And Kara was, my oldest sister, was pretty good soft. She baked some cookies. And she baked the cookie and she put this old boy's name on it. And put it in my, for me, you know. No, it must have been Christmas. When I looked at that thing, I took, we had a little swap candy back that time. I just went and I put it right to the bottom. I got a whipping for it, but anyway, I got satisfaction. Yeah, I really drowned it here. But that's the way they do it. I cried half the time. I don't know how Mom put up with me crying. I'd cry so much they teased me. And I couldn't stand teasing.
What did Daddy do when he heard you cussing?
Well, he just slapped the devil out of me, just hauled off with his hand, knocked my plumb down. I was waiting on the table when they asked for the costumes. And even Mama got into it. I was a pretty good sized girl then. I must have been about 10, 11 years old. Of course, I had to have somebody to wait on the table doing pass the stuff and take dishes to them and all that. Boy, when my time was up, I'd get out of there. Lizzie didn't never get very much of a change. She was just 13 months younger than me. But I don't know, I was a black sheep of the bunch. I said, daughter knocked me in the head when I was little, and then wouldn't I put up with it. My grandmother told us that one time, well, since she started to kill me when I was little.
Why?
I was just a little bit of a thing. I was the littlest one of the youngest. And the only bottle baby. See, she had our syphilis. And it's a disease that starts on the feet. And it went right up here on both legs. And then it jumped to her breast. And they had the length of one breast. And the nipple went in. They put me on a bottle. And you know bottles. They had to put it on any kind of a bottle, you know, get those little nipples and put it on there. And had a old colored gal, she used to come home, she was a mulatto. She come and work for us. She had a little kid about 2 or 3 months old. She'd wash her wrist off and let herself. And that's another thing they'd tease me about. That was my mama, you know.
Oh.
Poor little thing. She'd come home and she'd bring me cookies and I'd get bigger, you know. She'd still live then live.
That black lady?
Mm-hmm. She wasn't black, she was mulatto. She was pretty white. I guess it was a white man's young back then. And just before Mama died for us. She said she asked about me. She was still living. I don't know what I'd done without her. Mama died in 33. Dad died in 13.
Didn't you say you were named after an Indian?
Yeah.
Did y'all know her?
Yeah, we knew. You know there's Indians in that country. And we'd hear an Indian, boy, we'd hide us. We were scared of us. They said they used to go through there and they'd bite people's fingers off, and, you know, little kids, and tell us all kind of junk like that without one sober.
Did it scare y'all?
Yeah. This old Indian lived up in that country, and Daddy wanted to call her name me Mellisa. They never would call me Mellisa. They spell it like I'll spell it. They spell it M-O-L-I-S.
That's the way the Indians spelled it?
But now they can put 2 L's or just 1 L. I bet you could see that name down on the paper where I was born.
That was when you were 8 years old?
1900, I'd have been 10, wouldn't it?
See, no, 8 or 9. The census was, I think, in June. That would be before your 9th birthday.
Yeah.
So you'd be 8.
Yeah. See, that's where you write it down here on me on the lines.
That's where you spell it on.
Mellisa. That's where they spell Mellisa now. And then we had a pretty nice looking house, and we had a porch to it, and it had a well with a top on it, you know, with a wheel lock on it, you know, and you draw water like that. Let your bucket down, you know. Really.
Y'all had a pretty big house?
Yeah, pretty good stuff. Had to have a bunch of kids like that, I guarantee.
Y'all weren't very poor then, right?
Well, I guess about as poor as we could get. We had plenty to eat and plenty of clothes to wear and stuff like that.
Well, y'all were farmers?
Yeah, my dad was a farmer. He'd get out staves and stuff like that. That's the kind of work he did, you know. We didn't stay away from home so much.
What kind of crops did y'all have?
Cotton and cane and potatoes. Just anything that a farmer planted in the field, you see.
And y'all had to go and harvest all that?
Yeah. Yeah, we'd go out, we'd stay in the field a big spot of time. My mother was sitting about 11 o'clock. She'd bring us like a syrup cake, you know, she'd make a syrup cake and come out the field and bring us some cake, some kind of drink. And then we'd go in and just have time to eat our dinner and wash the dishes and go back to the field. And the cotton got real tall. You could hide in the cotton, it was so tall. And sugar cane. And Daddy made the syrup. He made our own syrup. And sometimes he cooked it, it would be plum sugar. I mean, great big lumps of sugar. It's crystal looking, you know, crystallized. And I used to use raised cattle, so we had as high as 15 cows with milk in the morning, you know. And he built a little house when we lived in that place. And we lived on one side, and my grandmother, Joanne, lived on the other side. Uncle William lived there. She stayed with them most of the time. And they had a house built for the two families. It was built in a marsh. The marsh was real plain, and there was rocks and water just boiling over all over in there. And he took and he cleaned that place up, and he built a house, lined it with sawdust. Everything was lined with sawdust. And cleaned out all the, just where we'd put the milk down in this little house. And they had weights on it, you know, like lids. You make lids out of wood. You know, her churn stayed in there. And the milk of both families. And when you'd open that door in the summertime, it was just a fog. It really did keep it good. It was nice and cool. So we had our own butter. We raised our corn. We had hominy. She put lye in the hominy. Well, you know, they didn't have much lye then, but they take. We had fireplace, had two fireplaces in our house. One for Daddy and one for Mama on the other end. And they'd take those ashes and they'd put them in a little container. And when it rained on them, you see, rain on those ashes, they got a little outfit, they'd drip down and make a lye. And she'd take that and put it in those hominy, a big wash pot of corn, and cook it till the eyes of the corn would come out. And then we'd take it out and we'd wash it good till all of that was clear. And they had stones, big old crocks, you know. They'd put salt in there and put that in, and they'd keep her until how long. And when they'd want some hominy, you see, they'd just go and take some out and wash it off and cook it, you know, cook it over with meat or something in it. We had a smokehouse, we had plenty of meat and plenty of sausage. They had places to hang all that sausage on. And we didn't need for nothing to eat. We'd raise peanuts, had peanuts all the time to eat. Watermelons, just go in the field, get regular wagon loads of watermelons and bring them to the house. We'd put our peanuts in one place, and when it'd be raining and we couldn't work outside, we'd pick peanuts off.
What two families was that had the little house? That you...
Well, Aunt Emma and Uncle William, Grandma Joey.
And they shared it?
Yeah, they shared it. And he had a walk to go there, you see. And they had 3 persimmon trees. I'll never forget them. Those little persimmons you've seen them. And it was about that big around. And there's 3 of them, and it was on the north side. And this little house was further down in the marsh, you see. And he'd be able to walk to go out to the little house. And when we get to the little house, we'd open the door and go in and take care of things in there. And the smokehouse was on the other side of the house. And they had, if they wanted to kill a beef, they'd have pickled the meat, which they didn't eat right away. Uncle Christian lived about from here to the highway to the road down here from our house.
That was in Manifest or where?
Yeah, close to that graveyard looks to me about. But nothing looks like natural when I go up there. He's got a road through there, you see, and it don't look natural at all.
It changed?
Nothing.
When's the last time you were up there?
When Mama died.
In 1933?
Last time I was up at the graveyard.
Your daddy was born in Manifest, you think? Or what?
I don't know where Daddy was born, and that's where him and Mama got married when we lived at Manifest.
They were married in Manifest.
So I really don't know if that's right. They lived in Manifest, you see, when I was born. Let's see, it was Karen, Judge, and Maddie, and me, and we moved down in Daddy. He sold that place. It was kind of up on a hill. He leveled this hill off and had steps come down it, you see. And we sold that place and moved down across the road, all this farm here to that Catholic school. And that's we stayed until we moved to Eden. All the kids, Katie was one, was when we moved to Eden when she was born there. And when we moved to Nebo, Archie and Gov was born. About every 2 years, really. Yeah. So then in 1 year she was just 13 months.
Do you know if he was ever married before?
Nobody had but
So as far as you know, she was born.
No, I guess she was born in Swamp, but I don't know what you call that. They didn't have no post office or nothing. That was 10 miles from Manifest.
About what year did y'all move to?
We moved to Eden. Was it the year that Katie was born? That's my sister.
Emma Katie?
1906. And we lived in Eden there. And he didn't stay long down there, you see. The baby was born, and I never forget the day we was in the field working. Mom came out there, and there was a little branch. We call it a little creek, you know. We just walked across. It was really not very deep, but it was water running. And she came over there, and she was crying. And she was trying to tell me, you know, how what all to do. Of course, Daddy was gone as usual. And what all to do. I told my sister and brother was there. I said, there's something wrong with Mom. I said, I never did see her cry. But I didn't know she was sick then to have a baby. She come up and feel it. And so here come the baby, one next to the baby, to tell us that we had a little sister. So then I went to the house. I imagine I was about 14 or 15 or 16, something like that.
You didn't know she was pregnant before?
Yeah, I knew she was pregnant. But I didn't know it was time for the baby. So they didn't talk that kind of mess then. If you heard it, you overheard it. Then she told me what to do, you know. Of course, she had, my daddy's mother was a
Joanne.
She was a midwife. She was at home. She knew Mom was with the baby, so she came home. She'd stand there, of course, Grandma was getting kind of old, you see, about taking the slop jar out and all that, you know. Not let the other kids see, you know, when I emptied and all that. She had that baby. So, of course, they stayed in the bed 9 days, and then he wouldn't have a baby. Of course, that threw the work on me, and Grandma had helped me, you know. Of course, Liz was there. She helped out too. She was next to me.
You remember the Bass family?
Esau Bass. That was Mama's dad. And he had a house full of kids. He had about 7 girls and 2 boys.
Including your mother?
Yeah.
Do you know any of their names?
Glover's mama was named Sally. No. One of them was named Ida. You know, we'll say Amrit. Say my mother's name. She's Amrit and Ida.
Ida.
And Lodi. And Sally. Sally was kind of older when she got married. But Mom and Ida were married younger. You got how many?
4 right there.
4. Laney. You put down. That's Glover's mom.
Whose mom?
Glover Taylor. You know my cousin that lives in Westlake. I got a first cousin living with her.
Okay, so you got Amrit, Ida, Lodi, Sally, and Laney.
Isabel. And Walter's the baby boy. And Bud was the one got killed. He was riding, went out and saddled his horse, and of course, them days, you know, the chickens scratch holes in the ground. And Mom said she had some green. She was going to send one of the neighbors. And she tied it up in a red handkerchief, these greens. And she went there, and one of the girls went to the fence to hand them to him, you know, and partly threw them at him. And when she did, this part started pitching, and it fell in one of those holes, killed it.
That was Bud?
Yeah. What was the other gal's name? They were grown when I was just a kid.
About the 1880s, maybe?
Yeah, maybe too.
And what parish was that, do you know?
No, I don't know what parish that was down there. I don't know if that's still in Catahoula or what.
It was in that area, though?
But it was in a swamp, you know. Had a big lake between them. And when it would come up a lot of rain, you know, well, these places all went underwater down in the swamp.
Now, do you know any of Joanna's brothers or sisters?
I didn't know she ever had a brother. I never did hear her speak about. Well, yeah, them Crooms. Croom boys was her brother. I knew William, and we called him Doc. Doc Croom. He was kind of odd fellow. He didn't marry till he was pretty old. And got mixed up with a woman. And she had a young one, They always, in the country there, they said it was my daddy's young. You know, he slept with her. But we don't know. They left the country. But it was a girl. And we never did hear that she left. You know, her mother, she brought her.
So you
Which
had
would
a
have
half
been her
sister.
mother. The mother of this girl. Yeah, she's been her sister. But, you know, now, like William and Doc, or whatever they call him, his name was William. Might not have been able to furnish it a baby, because he was an odd looking fellow.
What do you mean by odd?
Well, he was kind of a loner. I don't know what you'd call a loner in the main. He never mixed much, you know.
Kind of antisocial.
Yeah. He lived not far from us. We'd go down there sometimes to see him. And then when we all moved to Eden, we moved to Eden, place between Gina and Nebo where they live now. Well, we lost track of all that basically. There was one lived at Georgetown. I don't remember his name. He was a croon.
Did they have any more kids beside that?
That's all. Elizabeth Croon, Elizabeth. That was one that lived in Georgetown.
She lived in Georgetown?
I went to Georgetown one time on the train. First time I ever rode on the train. I was about 12 years old.
You and your sister went to Georgetown to visit, that was your grandma, wasn't it?
No, she was my aunt. She was my aunt.
Well, let's see, that's your,
Joanne,
that's your grandma.
That's my grandma.
That,
And that
those
was
are her
her
parents.
son. That must have been grandma's brother's son.
Elizabeth and Joshua would be your great-grandma and great-grandpa?
That was Joanne's brother and his father, and the Jewish.
You was born in North Carolina. She was born in South Carolina. And then your grandma, Joanna, was born in Mississippi. And so was William. And then I guess they moved over. Between 1843 and 1844, they moved to Louisiana. See? And then they had Mary and James.
Is that 83 or what is that?
83. That would be when,
Leonard was born.
I mean, he was 8 years older than you?
Oh no, he was old now, but I don't remember how to imagine about
You
that.
were, you were what, 16? Just about, almost 16?
Like 10 days to be 16.
He was about 24 then. That sound about right?
They said, that's just fine. When Leonard got killed, I left Pollock this week and killed out of Pollock.
Pollock, Louisiana? Y'all were living there?
Yeah, I was living there. It was out in the country. He was cutting timber, you know, the big pine trees. Him and his brother was cutting together. And of course, when he'd leave, he wouldn't come back for a week, you know. He was that far away from home. When his brother was cutting in this tree, they cut it down. And his brother went this way, and he went under the tree. And the tree fell and hit another one. And that's what broke his neck, and he fell, and the tree fell on him. Just one of them things that he turned and went the wrong way. Let's see, Barbara was Helen, no Bessie. She was 2 years and 2 months older than Lily. He got killed the 2nd of June.
Leonard got killed June 2? What year?
1910.
Was she born before he died?
He was born after he died.
Or after?
September 8th he got killed in June.
Oh, okay.
June the 2nd in 1910. And she basically was born in 1908. I know one time I went to sign up for Social Security, and Bessie was with me. And that lady asked me when I was married, you see, and I told her. And Bessie jumped at the said, well, Mama, you couldn't have been then because I married in 1907. And she said, well, I was born in 1908. I said, I just had time to have a baby, too. I said, I got married in 1907.
Yeah, September 5th, 1907.
You see, the 15th I'd have been 16. Like 10 days of being 16. And she was born in July the 20th. after that. It was just in time to have a baby.
Y'all got busy, huh? Didn't fool around.
Didn't fool around, that's right.
And where was Leonard buried?
He's buried at Pollock.
Pollock. And then after he died, what did you and your kids do?
Went back to Mama's.
Back to Nebo?
Back to me. She had Archie and Govey then. Boy, basically really had a time. And one day, Daddy come in, he'd been to Gina. And he always carried a gun, pistol. And he had the pistol rolled up in his coat, tied on the back of his saddle. And he untied it and come in the house and had a living room, had 2 beds in that living room. All that family, you knew, had upstairs, which the boys slept upstairs. Well, I had Lily laying on the bed, and there was a window right out at the head of that bed. There was a window there, and there was a tool chest on the porch, just opposite. Well, he walked there at that tool chest, and he pulled that gun out of that coat, and it went off. And Mama was churning. She was out on the porch churning. That big porch. And she said, "You get up and see about that baby." And I said, "Never even woke her up. I went in there, and she said, "Well, pick that baby up." And when I picked it up, the bullets fell out the raft.
Oh.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah, it wasn't close, but it didn't wake her up at all.
That was Aunt
Lily.
Aunt Liv?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Talk about scared him after death. How he could have killed that youngling just as easy as that. But that was close enough right there.
Almost killed his granddaughter.
Yeah. And she had wraps and it was picked her up and unwrapped her, you see. Bullet flew out. Mama was right there. She saw it. Because it was worrying her, because it was too close for him not to hit her. But it went through that wall, you see. Must have been lower, you see, and it went through the wall, and when it went into the bed, that's when the bullet fell in the wraps.
Good thing the wall was there to slow it down.
Yeah.
And how old was she whenever that happened?
She must have been 200 months old or something like that. But they'd carry guns. I don't know what to do with them to have them. Everything in the country carried a gun on top. Leonard come to see me. That's when we were married. And they had a big long room. Had 2 beds in it. One on that side and one on this side. And we went through the room and this one went into the kitchen. And we went in there and we sit down there on one of the beds on that side. And Leonard had a gun on it. And he had it in his shirt, pushed down in his clothes, you know. Well, later on, he got ready to leave. Well, he got up and he kind of loosened his shirt and got that gun and stuck it back in his shirt. And about that time, Mama come through the room. Listen, she called me in the kitchen. I went in there. Oh, you know, that looked awful. I'll tell you, when you get to thinking about it, how he was pushing his shirt tail in, and she got so mad, and boy, when he left, she accused him of all kinds of things, and she told Daddy about it. So they wouldn't let me see. They wouldn't let me see him or nothing. And when he'd pass, he'd go through the yard every day to go to work. He was cutting timber in the woods. And he passed through the yard and he wondered, you know, why I didn't come be where he'd see me. I told him I couldn't tell him just why they didn't let me see him, but I'd tell him someday maybe. And that was it. They accused me of that. Oh, shit. Look what I had done there, that old door open and everything. And going back and forth to the kitchen. You know they done that anyway to see what he was doing in there.
Spying on you? Did y'all, your little brothers and sisters ever spy on you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know, she'd make us sit right in that living room now. They had beds in there where Mom and Dad could see. And they'd make us sit right by, we had a dresser there. That's where we had to sit under that light down in the fireplace. We never had a chance to do nothing. A lot of times. Now they do anything. You get right out in front of you.
Times have changed.
Yeah, times has changed. Right.
You see, Mom said that, what's her name? She said she was going to come down. She might know some of that stuff, you think?
You ain't Bertha. That's what the judges were. William.
Right.
Rodney.
I bet it was tough. Your daddy calling every one of them out, trying to get them right.
He didn't call us all out, but he never would have got us right. Boy, howdy. He had the red stuff down his belly.
Always drunk, huh?
Yeah. Oh, how Mama put up with him no more than I know. She must have been pretty good.
This is all taken from the family Bible, huh?
Yeah.
And you said that he was the one that wrote it down?
Yeah, Daddy. He was drunk. Lady said he was drunk when he wrote it down. But he wasn't drunk either, because he had it was down, where did it say in there where she was born? Lisa.
She was October 12, 1892.
And I was born 91. You see that?
Is that right?
Yes, right. Because it's 13 months difference in them.
That's right.
Because her birthday would have been October, and she says it wasn't. Said, Mama said he's drunk. I said, gee whiz, he must have been drunk with all of us. And that would make them nearly 2 years apart, except for me and her.
Mm-hmm.
What, it was by the time he'd come home.
Well, what would he do away from home so much?
I told you got out staves and barrels, made barrels, and all kinds of stuff.
He couldn't do it around the house?
Oh no, they didn't know where the timber
He just wanted
was.
an excuse to
Still
leave
living
home.
home. Ain't no telling how many women he had away from him. But he's done enough work at home.
Boy, what a family.
What a man.
I want you to tell me all their wives, their husbands, like Carrie's husband.
Johnny Brandon.
John
Brandon.
Brannon.
B-R-A-N-N-O-N.
Judge's wife.
We called her Pinky.
Pinky.
Pinky. She's still living, suppose, I know. But that's Judge's first
Your
wife.
first.
And Maddie's wife was Naomi. She married the one brother, and he got killed in the army, and so she married him. The other brother was in the army. He come out of the army, he married her. And they had 9 children. He got killed up there when they knew her.
She married another one of the brothers. Which
Well,
brother?
that was Matty. We called him Matty all the time. He was named after Daddy. That wasn't his first wife. Matty was married to another woman. I don't remember that thing's name. His first wife was named Mary, but I don't know the other name.
Her name was Mary.
Mm-hmm. Colin Quidwell and Judge. That's my 3 brothers that's living.
Okay, which ones were the ones that died a week apart?
That's Archie and Rodney.
Do you know Katie's husband?
Truman. Let's see, Truman was his last name, but I paid Flint was first name. She had to work like a dog in the field. I don't know what he done. They didn't live close to us. They had 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, when she died. She took blood poison, had a tooth pulled, and took blood poison and died.
Gubby was your
Brother,
the last
my baby
one.
brother. And he's another one, not like my daddy. As long as he had a bottle in his hand. He's the only one that lets you drink like us. And he stayed drunk all the time.
Gubby?
Yeah. William died, I don't know what year he died. I went up there when he died, and your mom was about 3 months old.
Whenever William died?
Mm-hmm.
That was about 1935, huh?
You were about that time. Aunt Lizzie, she caused the trouble up there, you know, when the mama died. Well, they all signed their rights away. Roddy was the one who was, had mama taking care of mother, you know. They had 2 places, 2 houses on the farm. And my brother, he had just married and had about 2 children. And that was Rodney I was talking about. And so when Mama got sick, well, he just pulled out from his house and went up to Mama's and stayed there until took his children and everything and his wife. And stayed till Mama died. And then when they went to settle up, you see, well, my brother there, the oldest brother, Judge, he said what he wanted was if they ever had any oil or something come on the place, well, he wanted his share, you know. Well, when they did a well come on the land, they put one well down, and that's where the trouble started. What he wanted was a barge and a boat to pull this barge. So my brother bought that for him, first money. And so Lizzie come in on a whistle. John died before Rodney did. Because when he got sick, you see, well, he wasn't going around, Rodney wasn't speaking to him. And he went to church that morning, he was Pentecost. And he went to church that morning. When he got back home, he lied down on the porch and took a spell. And so somebody found him and took him to the hospital, and when Rodney went to see him, because he heard about it, he went to the hospital to see him, he says, I thought you'd never come. Well, he never did get to talk to him after that. Well, Gov died, I guess he died after they did, because Gov's wife was there when Archie died. She come to the funeral. He had already died. Govy had.
He died before Archie and Rodney?
Yeah. When he died, you see, well, his wife, a lot of them give her money. All the family, they give different amounts of money. Sonny even sent some money up there to her. He was staying home. And so, and they lived in Baton Rouge, you see, when he died. So they brought him back down to Nebo there to bury him.
And he was buried in that same
cemetery where
family
Roddy
cemetery?
Was.
Okay.
John and, let's see, Johnny and Gov and Rodney all buried in that same place. And then Lizzie was, I guess she was buried where Rodney, and then of course her husband was buried close to where Rodney was buried.
Gubby's buried there too?
And she had 2 or 3 or 4 children. One of her boys got drowned. They was on a vacation, and he went and jumped in some kind of pool or some kind of creek and never did come up.
Okay, you were born 1891. That was in Manifest. And then when did you move first?
Moved before Katie was born. So.
See, she was born in 1906. So you moved about in 1906?
I imagine about
5 maybe?
5, something like that. I was about 15 years old, I imagine. Moved to Eden. That's where Katie was born. She's the only one who was born away. The other, these 2, the last 2, Archie and Gull was born in Nebo down there, close to where Mom lives. And she died.
Y'all built all your houses in each one of those places, or what?
No, they bought them really good. Well, the house where Rodney lived when he died, well, my daddy bought it after I got married. I got married in a different house, but in the same vicinity, I think. And it was a log house. So after Rodney got it, well, he built a pretty nice house. Had, let's see, 3 bedrooms, and living room, fireplace, and kitchen, a big kitchen, and bathroom, and a little hill back porch, and a screen front porch. Judge went down there and stayed last summer, and they said when he got there, he told them just what he wanted. He don't eat this, he don't eat that, he don't eat that. I'd have shoved him in the door, you know?
Your own brother?
Yeah, my own brother. Now, you imagine you go to your brother's house and tell him what you want and what you don't eat and what you don't want. Do you?
Oh, no.
You wouldn't, I guarantee you. I told him, yeah, and I'd have shut him in the door. I adopted. I like the fella I could kill.
That was Tyler?
Yeah. I said, gee whiz, no, you wouldn't believe. I said, talk about adopt a kid with a house full of it. He was way down the line, you know, and asked if he was adopted. He said, well, he didn't see his name on the Bible. Well, I said, I don't know what's on the Bible, but you wasn't adopted, because I remember when you was born. Yeah,
Imagine having a whole house full of kids and then adopt one.
That's a joke. I tell you, I had to laugh. What the dude said, Mama would. But she had more than she could handle in the deposit. Was I adopted? Oh, goodness.
Mama Daigle, or Aunt Mellisa, as many called her, was a special lady who meant a lot to me. From my earliest memories, she was always a loving and doting grandmother. I know she loved all of her grandchildren, but I like to think I was her favorite. Being one of her youngest grandsons from her youngest daughter, age-wise, she was old enough to have been my great-grandmother. In fact, she was 5 years older than one of my great-grandmothers on my dad's side of the family. I was always fascinated by the stories Mama Daigle would tell of her childhood and early years. The world she grew up in was such a different world than the world I knew. It made her stories all the more interesting. So it was a Sunday afternoon in early 1979, about 6 months before she passed, that I took the opportunity to tape record some of her stories. And I'm so glad I did. We were sitting on the side of my bed in my bedroom in our home at 912 Lilliput Lane in Sulphur, Louisiana. And I'd been doing some genealogy research at the Lake Charles Library, and I'd found several old census records that I wanted to show her, including the 1900 census of Catahoula Parish, Louisiana, where she shows up as an 8-year-old. I also took the opportunity that afternoon to question her about her siblings, uncles and aunts, grandparents, and other family members to help me fill in some blanks on some family group sheets I was filling out. Mama Daigle had a rough life, having been a daughter of a mostly absent alcoholic father, then having married an equally dysfunctional and abusive husband when she was nearly 16. But thankfully, her second marriage to Lazim Daigle in 1912 turned out to be a good one, until tuberculosis took him when she was 49. Her third marriage to Broussard on her 52nd birthday in 1943, well, that was another fiasco that didn't last long. But Mama Daigle was a strong woman, good character, hard worker. She was admired by many. She cared for and nurtured children all of her life, including helping in many childbirths and taking care of the mothers after they had given birth at home. And she also worked in Frash Elementary School's cafeteria, preparing lunches for the school children there. Even though Mama Daigle endured some hard times in her life, the Lord took care of her throughout her years. She put her trust in Jesus Christ early on and faithfully attended First Baptist Church in Sulphur for many years. On the morning of Mama Daigle's 88th birthday on Saturday, September 15th, 1979, I arrived at her house there at 815 South Crocker Street to wish her a happy birthday before I went to work. And I brought her a birthday gift. It was this frame with old photographs of herself, her mother, and her grandparents. And I remember her looking down at the pictures, first zeroing in on her mother and commenting about the hard life she had. And then she looked over at her grandmother, Margaret McCarty Bass. I remember her saying, "Poor old grandma." And moments later, she looked up at me and said, "Roland, I'm going to be dying soon." Well, little did I know it would be that evening. But concerned about whether she might be depressed, I tried to encourage her and said, well, you could live many more years. And I even reminded her that she had an older brother that she might even outlive. But she knew. She knew it was her time to go. When I took that last photo of Mama Daigle about 8 or 9 hours before she passed, we didn't notice it at the time, but laying on the bed next to her was this blue Gideon New Testament Bible. Apparently, she had been reading it earlier that morning. I believe she was preparing herself for meeting her Maker face to face. I know Mama Daigle took comfort in the scriptures, and I know she had peace knowing that she had been given eternal life because of Jesus' loving sacrifice. I returned to Mama Daigle's house over my lunch hour and had lunch with her and my parents, who were there too. And throughout the day, all of her local family members dropped in to wish her a happy birthday and bring gifts. Then late in the afternoon, after all the family had left, she lied down on her bed, crossed her legs at her ankles, and fell asleep for the last time. It was a peaceful passing, and I can imagine the smile on her face as she woke up from that nap in the loving arms of her Heavenly Father. She was home at last. I'm reminded of Revelation 21, verse 4. It says, "And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away." I think about Mama Daigle often, especially on September 15th, which is the anniversary of her birth, her third marriage, and her death. I hope this recording will allow Mama Daigle's younger descendants to get to know her some. She was a great lady.